here with Cody Brewer. Cody, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
A lot of news with you changing where you're going to live recently, but I've never talked to you before. I wanted to kind of get a sense of who you are, and one of the reasons I mentioned to you earlier that I follow you really since the NCAAs a couple years ago. I mean, I knew who you were, but when you were going gangbusters through the NCAAs, I was like, dude, what's not to like about this guy? Open it up, in big matches. But let me take you back to a child when you were wrestling. You grew up wrestling in Missouri. How old were you when you started wrestling?
6 years old.
Was it your idea?
A little bit. I actually, as a kid, it was kind of funny. I got started because my brother wrestled in high school and college a little bit, and then I just kind of started to pick it up. I wasn't a very big kid, but I love football more than anything. I played a lot of football, so that was my goal, was to play in the NFL, I think, as a kid. And then I got a little bit bigger, and I was like, that's not going to happen. So.
Right. That's funny. So what, your brother, how much older was your brother than you?
He's 11 or 12 years. I think 11.
Okay. So he's significantly older. You weren't working out with him. What about the sport did you like when you were a little guy? Did you like the sport?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I liked the competitiveness and the fact that it was just me out there. I like that. You had the football and a lot of other sports. You got to worry about other guys on the team. Wrestling is very singular, and I like that about the sport. I think that's what makes the sport great. Is even as a kid, I loved to compete just by myself. It sounds selfish, but you love to have all the greatness, but then also a lot of the blame too if it just comes back on you. So I like the accountability, I guess, of the sport.
Gotcha. And as a kid, that was something that you identified with?
Yeah. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Did your dad wrestle or uncles?
A little bit. My dad did a little bit, but mostly it was just my brother. He did a little bit in high school, but didn't really stick with it. My dad, and then my brother starts doing it, and then I started to kind of pick it up and really enjoy it. And went to a lot of the national tournaments as a kid, and did all that, and went through the whole spiel now that the little kids go through. So.
Right. So how old were you when you started taking it seriously?
Probably around the ages, probably between 9 and 10 is when it started to pick up a little bit, and I think my mom and dad both realized I actually had some talent for the sport, and that it was something I could see myself doing for a while.
So the change was you just getting better, or is it just maturity too, or?
Yeah, it could have been a little bit of both. I think more than anything, I just enjoyed it. They could see how much I liked it. And, even though there's a lot of kids' tournaments and it's an every weekend thing, I think they enjoyed taking me. And I think that's what, I really enjoyed about the sport is it was kind of a family event every weekend. It wasn't just, some sports it's a little different. You got to, space it out. With wrestling, it was always a family event. So,
right.
And everybody did it in my family, so that was good.
Was your little guys club, was it focused on fun, hard work, and how would you describe the environment that you grew up wrestling in?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I think we were actually really good as a kids club. I remember winning little kids state just about almost every year we went, just because we had a lot of foundation of guys and a lot of guys that wrestled Division I just out of my high school and out of my kids club. It was pretty unbelievable that I got around the kids club that I got around and the coaches that I got around. I think I just kind of fell into it, but we were one of the better kids club, but I think it was a little bit of both, as far as the fun aspect and the working hard. So.
Was it the closest club to you, or was it the best club that was kind of close?
It was the club that my brother went to high school at.
Okay.
And he wrestled at a little bit, so that's kind of just how I fell into it.
Now, a lot of people, from my area don't know a whole lot about Missouri wrestling, but it seems like it's growing in stature. You're getting a lot of guys who are wrestling at the D1 level. The university's doing really well. And they just had a really long win streak snap this year. But not that you went to Missouri, but the Missouri wrestling scene is really growing. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think actually it's getting a lot tougher. I see a lot more kids every day now going Division I, going Division II wrestling. It's getting more popular. I know Missouri is one of the top places for a lot of Division II programs. They only have Missouri for Division I, but they have a lot of Division II, a lot of Division III. So I think it's growing, and I think it can only get better. I think there's a lot of high school kids that are really good now. I remember when I came out, there was a lot of good kids that went Division I, Division II schools, and you got guys like Jaden Cox that are from Missouri that are doing well, and and things like that. So I think it's only going to get better as far as Missouri wrestling goes. But it's interesting. It's probably not like Pennsylvania or a lot of the schools, but I think it's getting just as tough, and they're starting to make their name as far as wrestling goes.
That you chose Oklahoma, pretty close to home, but you chose the school before the coaching change, correct? Before Mark Cody came in.
Yep, I did. Yep.
So, can you tell me a little bit about that? Was that a stressful period?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because I was told that Coach Spade's the coach that had left.
Yep.
He recruited me there and said, well, I am going to leave, so I'm just letting you know. And I was like, oh, okay, thinking, well, hopefully that's a good thing. But Coach Leitner actually, was part of the reason why I came on here and really committed to Oklahoma. But Coach Cody was just kind of a blessing in disguise. It kind of turned out to be one of those things I didn't know if it was going to work, and I didn't know him that well, but it ended up being the best thing for me. But it was a pretty crazy time, just knowing that maybe it possibly was going to be somebody else, and then it switched at the last minute. So it ended up turning out to be good for me. Everybody's not the same as I am and got that lucky, but I was definitely lucky to get the situation I got.
A lot of guys, talk about wanting to be a Division I athlete, and they get there. The recruiting process is stressful. A coaching change is stressful. Can you tell me, you're still in school, right? But you're done wrestling.
Yeah.
I
actually just graduated.
You just graduated. So it's not that much time to reflect on. I mean, have you thought about your time at Oklahoma? I mean, how do you sum it up in your own mind?
I would say more than anything, there was the really good times, and then there was the struggles that everybody, I think, has at a university. I think, moving away from home, doing all that. I mean, I remember a lot of people told me that, because of I have a learning disability through high school and have had it since I was a kid, that I wasn't going to go Division I, that my schooling would be too tough, and I just graduated from a Division I university. So I take a lot of that credit in knowing that my time here at Oklahoma was well spent. I got my education. I think, everything possible I could as far as wrestling. I mean, obviously there's other things you want to change and go your way, but that's how God intends it, and that's how he made it for me. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it here. I love the people here. I love the coaches. Oklahoma was good to me, and I'll thank him forever for that.
So did you anticipate being a 4-time All-American, a 1-time national champion when you were in high school?
That was the goal. I think every kid dreams that. I think as I've been a little kid, I've been watching NCAAs on TV, and I've always wanted to be on that stage and get that feeling. And I was lucky enough to do it, and I did it. But just to think that I was on the podium every year is pretty crazy to think. I don't think a lot of people would have thought that. I was, like I said, I was a pretty good high school wrestler, but there's a lot of good guys out there. Everybody's the man when you come to college. So just the fact that I could get on the podium every year, I was blessed to do that.
Are you the kind of guy who carries his goals around? Are they written down somewhere?
No, I don't. It may sound bad, but my time with wrestling is always, I'm really focused in that part of wrestling, and then when wrestling's done, I put it on the shelf for the day, and I go do other stuff and think about other things. I think it's important to do that, to take my mind off of it a little bit. I think, writing down your goals is good and what I want to do, but I got it in my mind what I want to do every day, so that's kind of my goal sheet.
What do you do to decompress from wrestling?
Oh, I don't know. I got a dog after wrestling season, so he's kept my time pretty well.
A puppy?
Yep. He's a blue heeler, so he's a good dog. Good dog, but
good
he's
energy.
Very energetic and wants to do a lot, and just time with like I said, my girlfriend, just my friends, my teammates, to get away from it a little bit is always good. I love my time in there, and I spend it and enjoy it, but it's always good to get away from it.
So 2 years ago, you were a national champion, and you were running through the field. I mean, I think you pinned and bonus pointed your way to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what your approach is to a match? I mean, I love that aggressive style. A lot of guys get a little tight when it gets, nationals time. What is your mental approach to matches, and does it change at all, match to match?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's little strategies, and I'll say this, that, I think it's easy for us to wrestle the tournament. Our coaches have to do the scouting and who does this and who does that. And I think that's the easiest part about it. But for me, it's always been just go out and have fun. I focus on little things, getting my shots off, getting my offense, and and do that kind of thing. But nothing really changes from match to match. I enjoy it all. I mean, I'm just glad I get the opportunity to go out there and wrestle and do that. But, yeah, I don't think during NCAA time, that was my best time of the year. I think every year I always competed the best at NCAAs, and it was the best tournament. You know, it's the last one of the year. You gotta go out there and attack and wrestle that style that our coach preaches and that I've always wrestled. So
to take you back, just to explore that a little bit, is it championship time, your best time of year because you're most focused? Is it because Coach Cody helped you also peak? Tell me what goes into that when you're ready for showtime?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think I'm always ready as far as that comes. You know, the season's long, it's grueling, and when you finally get to that point, see the light at the end of the tunnel, you're like, man, this is it. You know, I gotta give it my all right now. And as far as that, you know, Coach Cody does. I think we always told us we're going to compete or peak one time of the year, and that's at NCAA. It's not the Big 12 tournament, not during season. It's always the NCAA tournament, and I always felt like I did. I felt like I wrestled my best and felt my best usually going into those tournaments. So.
Gotcha. Do you think anybody underestimated you coming in? Were you seated like 13th or 14th? They think they took you lightly?
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to happen. People have their opinion, and I respect it for just being in the bracket. You know, if you got a shot, and that's for anybody. You know, if you got a shot to be in the bracket, you got a shot to win. So I think that's important. I didn't look at it any really way. I had to put 5 together to win. So
it's curious because some guys, they approach every match the same way, and some guys maybe don't get as prepared as they normally do when they think, I should win it on paper. But that's not your approach. You're just same approach every time.
You know, there may be little things I change as far as what a guy does and make little adjustments, but it really doesn't matter who I wrestle as far as that goes. I mean, I'm going to have to wrestle him anyway, so that's the point, and that's why I love competing and love doing it. So.
Okay. So moving forward to this year, it's been a couple months since NCAAs. You were looking pretty explosive going through the first few matches. You met Deshaun Garrett in the semifinals. Looking back at that, have you thought about that match? I'm sure you have, or maybe not.
Oh, yeah. Actually, the day after, I was going in the match to wrestle for 3rd and 5th, and I get up that morning. It's on ESPN's Top 10, so it's not going to go away, and it won't go away for a while. But I'm sure. Hopefully, we wrestle again. That's the one thing I wish. But I don't spend too much time thinking about it too much. I had a pretty good year. I finished out with a win, so that was what I wanted. But more than anything, I just it's little things like that just happen. People get caught. People do things. He's a good wrestler. You can't have any mistakes against good wrestlers like that.
So talking about bouncing back, not just from that match, lots of world-class wrestlers, they lose a match at the Olympics or the World Championships, and they can't get themselves right for wrestlebacks or repechage, whatever. And can you tell me a little bit about that? I mean, your dreams, returning national champion. A lot of guys, champions, have short memories. I mean, do you learn something from it? Do you just say, I'm putting that out of my brain so I can compete the next day? Because you have tough matches, right? Those are 2 tough matches to get back to 3rd.
Yeah. I think more than anything, I just sat down and just thought about it for a little bit. And, you have that instant, you're upset and you want to do it, but you got to handle yourself because there's a lot of little kids out there watching and knowing how to take a loss. And I think that's important as far as watching people see you. You want to give them the right way. It's not always about winning and losing. It's about going out there and doing what you can. So I think that for me, it took me a little bit, and I got over it. And then I was like, I got to finish out my career like I wanted to, with 2 wins, and I did, and I was thankful to do that. But more than anything, I think it's just a mindset change. I don't necessarily have short-term memory because you obviously think about it. You're gonna think about it. I still think about it to this day, but it's not. It's not gonna go away. But it's those things that you just try to get through it and make it better. That's why. Part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing now. So
right. Totally sidetracked. One of the NCAA wrestling tournament, I think, is one of the best tournaments in the world. One of the things I'd love to see them at is a true second. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, agree.
I would enjoy to see that. The only bad part is if you're the guy that loses in the finals, you got to go back and wrestle another one. So
yeah, yep.
Which is good, and I think they've earned that right to be in the finals. But yeah, I would. It would have been nice this year, obviously, but it doesn't change that I lost. So
I got it. It just to me, it just makes it equal footing. Someone had to recover from a loss, and the second and third place guy get to duel it out and see the mental toughness. Anyway, all right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Let me see. Did you always know you were going to compete at the senior level, or did you not think about it until this year?
I wrestled a little bit of freestyle my freshman year.
Yeah.
Went to Fargo in high school and did that and wrestled there. So I've always liked freestyle. Actually, I think a little bit more. I think my style and the way I wrestle plays a little bit more into freestyle now.
Agree.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed it. I think it's good. I think if I had it my way, we'd wrestle it all year round. Because that's how you compete with the other countries and that's how the United States I think would be on top in the dominant senior level if we have everybody wrestling freestyle. But I think everybody loves folk style. It's so embedded. Collegiate style is just it's so important to people. So I think they're never going to let that go. But
right.
I think freestyle level is exciting and I'm excited to see what can happen.
When you were in high school thinking about being a national champion, did you think about being a world or Olympic champion?
Oh yeah. I think the Olympics definitely. I didn't know as much about world championships and that forum because everybody always looks at the bigger picture of the Olympics. I think, but yeah, I think I always wanted to be an Olympic wrestler. Like I said, I liked freestyle. I thought it was good, but just more than anything, I wanted to put myself out there and put my name out there for freestyle.
How old were you when you first had that thought? I want to be an Olympic champ.
Probably ever since I remember watching. Actually, I think it was Kale when I was a kid wrestling for the Olympic gold.
Okay.
And then I decided right after then that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, so you just graduated. Can you tell me what went into your thought process picking a regional training center?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of. This is actually not wasn't an easy process. I went for about a month and a half trying to figure out what I was going to do, and a lot of different offers, a lot of really good offers that I had. And
can you tell me how many offers you had?
Yeah, I had a volunteer assistant job at Pittsburgh, a volunteer assistant job at Northwestern, and then a volunteer job to stay here at Oklahoma. So not too many, but they're all really good.
Totally, yeah.
Offers, and then obviously to go to Penn State and be part of the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. But I think it just came down to what I wanted for my career, and obviously I wanted to keep wrestling and see how that went. But just more than anything, help out their team, and I think I was the guy that could fit into that. They got a lot of guys there that are helping out, but I think more than anything between that 25 and 33, 41 area, I think I could really help. So
yeah, definitely. So do you know guys on the team prior to this? Because you're a Missouri guy. I mean, Kale is from Utah, Iowa. I'm just curious. How did the connection happen? Just they reached out.
Yeah, he had called Coach Cody and wondered what I was doing, and then not too long after that, he gave me a call and asked me what I was thinking about doing, and I was like, well, I still want to compete if I can, but I don't really know yet. This time off has been nice, so I'm appreciative of that, but I don't know, and I talked to him a little bit more and more about it, and we kind of had a process, like I said, for the last month and a half, and really, really getting down to it and what I wanted to do, and just in the end, I thought it was, I don't know too many guys up there. I know me and Nico have been wrestling around the same time all through, kids and all that. I talked to Jake Varner when I was out there, David Taylor and all those guys, and just really, they're really good guys and made me want to be a part of that club. I think that was part of my decision to go there was that they have really good club wrestling and their guys are good guys, and what excites me is they got a lot of young guys coming in those lower weights, and I think that makes me excited to go out there and help, so.
Definitely. They just won the Regional Training Center for Freestyle Championship for the third year in a row. I mean, it's a great club, great time, a lot of guys coming in. Does it feel like the same pressure from going from high school to college as college to a training center, or is it just different because you're more mature?
I would say, there's a little bit of pressure. You want to do well, but I don't put too much bias on how I compete. how well I do as far as freestyle goes. I'm obviously going to go out there and win. I think I'm the best, 61 kilo guy in the world, not just in the United States. But I think that that was the best option. And I think that as far as pressure goes, I don't put too much pressure on myself as far as wrestling. Anyways, I think it's important to have a little bit of pressure that I kind of thrive on that a little bit. But more than anything, I think I'm excited. I think you got to be excited for the opportunity I'm given and to get out there and be able to wrestle again. I think that's, more than anything, I think that's important just because, not everybody gets to wrestle after college, let alone high school. So
Totally. I'm going to circle back on two different things. I asked the question not quite the way I wanted to. The pressure of being recruited at high school, was it similar to this recruitment, or is it just feel totally different now?
No, it's very similar.
It's similar?
Yeah, because it's not just, and it's funny because in high school I thought it was actually easier because I was just picking somewhere to go to school and wrestle. Now this is my career. This is my family, my girlfriend. This is big moves I'm having to make, not just for myself, but for possibly my future with them. And like I said, that month and a half is I don't know stress that well, probably as everybody does in their own lives, but it was stressful. You're trying to make the best decision, what's best for you and what's best for your family and my girlfriend and all these other people, and not just myself. When I went to college, it was I'm going to get my education. I'm going to wrestle, obviously, but those are important things. Now you're dealing out with a job, your future. So it's a little different, a little harder this time, and you build friendships and relationships here, and so it was hard to leave those.
Right. You've been a high-level wrestler for a decade, more than a decade. How has your relationship with the sport changed during that period of time?
I think more than anything, I've grown more as far as always being a learner of the sport. I don't know everything. I've been around for a long time, and I don't know what's the word to say is I'm still a rookie. I think in the sport. I think I just finished college wrestling, and I know quite a bit about the sport, but that's part of why I'm making this move. Those guys up there have a lot of experience at Penn State, and I want to keep learning. I think that's one of the biggest things that wrestling has taught me is always be open-minded and keep learning and keep growing as a wrestler. Not just one thing to do, one thing to do, any move or anything like that, or just grow me as a person. But I think it's matured me a lot, but it's made me want to learn more.
Okay. So with that said, you've built your whole life around the sport right now. You're committing to do it as a young adult, almost 25 this month. What about the sport? We talked about the accountability, but as you've grown up, is this the same thing that attracts you? Is it the physicality? Is it teammates? What is it that makes you want to pursue this as a young adult?
Yeah, I think it's the fan base. I think it's growing, and I think it's I love performing in front of a lot of people, and wrestling in front of a lot of people. And I think that's really important to me as far as, that I want my family to obviously keep watching me. A lot of people like watching me wrestle. I think that is part of the reason what pushes me also is that I want to wrestle for a lot of fans and people and younger kids. And I think that's important as far as, the way the sport's grown. I just want to keep doing it. If I can and my body's able to, I want to keep going,
So, like a lot of the language you're using, if you could point to one or two things, where do you think you get your competitive desire and fire from?
I think more than anything, just the fact that I don't know, it's the competitive, it's the love, it's when you step out there in front of 50,000 people or whatever it is, it's people all eyes are on you. It's it's stepping out there. It's taking somebody down in front of a big crowd. And I still say to this day, one of my favorite places to wrestle is Oklahoma State, because if you go out there and you do well, the place just gets quiet.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable because it's a great crowd, it's a great venue, and I used to love wrestling there. And I think going to different places and wrestling. I remember a UNI duel I had that was crazy. They put us in a little gym. And there was about 800 people in this little gym just cheering and cussing you out and getting involved. And I think that's part of the reason why it drives me. You want to see, and there's a little chip on your shoulder that you always want to put your name out there. You always want to keep wrestling. You always want to I don't know. You always want to prove people wrong that maybe said you couldn't do something, and that drives me more than anything. And like I said, doing it, for the people that have helped me along the way. There's a lot of people that have helped me get to where I am, and to wrestle for them and for them to see me do well is important to me. So.
Okay. Do you have a competition plan for this year?
Not right now. I think as soon as I get moved up there, I'm going to start figuring out what happens. I know with the Olympics, it's getting a little slow right now as far as that goes. But hopefully, if, like I said, my body will let me and I'm still doing all right, I think I'm going to try to compete for, obviously, to make the next world team if I can. Is start there because the weights are a little iffy for me. So.
Gotcha. Cutting weight or?
What
do you mean the weights are iffy? I'm not.
Just as far as it being 66 kilo, as far as the Olympics, and then
dropping.
59 kilo. That's kind of a big drop.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm kind of a middle guy. I'm a 34, 61 kilo guy probably, and
what are you walking around at right now?
Probably 150.
Okay. So. Eating everything you want?
Yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
No cutbacks right now, but yeah, I'm probably around 45.
Okay.
46 in there, so.
Penn State fan, Nittany Lion Wrestling Club fan, walks into the Lorenzo training complex this fall, watches you wrestle at practice. They have little bleachers in there. What do they walk away with? Thinking Cody Brewer is this kind of wrestler?
Yeah, I think that just that I'm a hard worker. That's what I want people to know is that I whatever I do, I try to outwork anybody. I think that's my philosophy. Is just whether it's a job, whether it's wrestling practice, or whatever it is, I try to outwork everybody, and that's kind of my mentality I've always had as far as be the hardest worker in the room. There's a lot of good guys, there's a lot of hard workers in that room, so I'm gonna have to do a whole lot, but I don't mind that. That's good, and I think it's only gonna make me better as a wrestler. But I'm a hard worker,
okay.
Kind person. So,
is there anything else in life that you're as good at as wrestling, like hobbies?
No, I don't think so. I tried to play basketball and do that and stuff every once in a while, but it doesn't end well. I'm not very good, so.
Okay. All right. We're having this conversation 10 years from now. What do you see the next 10 years holding for you? When you look forward.
Yeah, I hope I can win a world title, in that 10 years. That's a long time, but try to make a world team and try to get my shot to win a world title, and hopefully by then I'm still wrestling and healthy enough to be an Olympian and do that. And I think more than anything, just to be a coach of a program, try to run my own program, hopefully in 10 years, be the head coach of a Division I program. So that's one of the goals I have, and I think I can get there. So.
Gotcha. Sounds like a good list of goals. Anything else you want to tell anybody out there?
Nope. I'm excited.
I really appreciate you taking the time, Cody, and I'll check in with you maybe in a couple months, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.